Good evening and welcome to the 85th Annual Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce Membership Banquet. My name is Abdul Sabani. Along with my day job as the President and CEO of Syntex Technologies, I also have the honor of serving as the Chairman of our Board of Directors. Thank you for joining us this evening as we celebrate another wonderful year serving you, our members, and the Greater Killeen community. Tonight, we will honor the winners of our Council's Small and Large Business of the Year Awards and announce the winner of the Roy J. Smith Award. We also have an enlightening and engaging presentation by our keynote speaker, John Griffin, International President for the President's Advisory Council of the John Maxwell team. Before we begin this evening of enjoying food and fellowship, I would like to thank our event sponsors, First National Bank Texas, All-American Chevrolet of Killeen, Grace Christian Center, Courtyard by Marriott, and American Federation of Government Employees. It is now my pleasure to introduce Scott Hawksworth, pastor at Faith Point Church, and Major General retired Ken Cox, the Chief Operating Officer at Workforce Solutions Center, and our Board of Directors. Scott will deliver this evening's invocation, and Ken will lead us in honoring our nation with the Pledge of Allegiance and introductions. So please stand.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Would you please bow your heads and join us in prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you for the august men and women who are leading this great city of Killeen, and we thank you for all that they do in accomplishing your providential will for the direction of the place that we're honored to call our home. We ask that you would continue to bless Killeen and to bring continued prosperity to it, that we may in turn be a blessing to others. I ask that you would allow the chamber to be a healthy and financially prosperous chamber. And I ask, mighty God, that you would continue to allow your blessings to be upon our men and women, our sons and daughters who are serving and in harm's way and are away from their families. Lastly, we ask, mighty God, that you would bless this food, this meal, to the strength and the nourishment of our bodies, and bless the proceedings of this evening. And we ask it all in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we honor our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. So good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken Cox, and we have a great evening planned for you. I ask that you please go ahead and enjoy your salads because it's going to be a long period here of introducing some of our guests, so I want you to enjoy those while you can. Please understand that from my perspective, everybody in this room falls into the category of distinguished guest, but because of time limits, I'm going to reduce it down into certain groups and introduce some of the specific people that are here. We're going to start with recognizing our guests that are our uniform guests and those that participate and support us from the Great Place Fort Hood. And then I'm going to ask, as your name is called for those guests specifically, please stand so you can be recognized by the people who are here. And for the rest of you that are in the audience, please hold your applause until I've completed introducing all of our members from the Fort Hood Great Place, and then I'll be doing some additional introductions. So to start our introductions, hosted by the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce, I've got the Deputy Commanding General from Maneuver, Major General Ken Camper, and his wife, Krista. Okay, you're not supposed to clap. I know he's a great guy. Actually, I got a story to tell you when I introduce him later about how he did not so great coming in. At the Union State Bank, they are hosting the Deputy Commanding General for Support, Major General Felix Gedney, and his wife, Polly. I know y'all wanted to clap again. Thank you for not doing that. At our First National Bank Texas and Fort Hood National Bank table, we have the Commanding General of the 1st Cavalry Division, Major General Paul Calvert, and his wife, Tracy. At Grace Christian Center table, they are hosting the Commanding General of the 1st Army Division West, Major General Eric Peterson, and his wife, Kristen. And the other half of the command team, Command Sergeant Major John McDwyer, the Command Sergeant Major of 1st Army Division West, and his wife, Monica. At our Texas A&M Central Texas table, they have the Chief of Staff of the Operational Test Command, Colonel Chris Albus, and his wife, Christine. At the Metroplex Health System table, they are hosting the commander of the Carl R. Darnall Medical Center and his Colonel Dave Gibson and his wife, Amy. At the First Texas Bank table, they are hosting the garrison commander of Fort Hood, Colonel Hank Perry. Oh, he got a woo-hoo. That's pretty good. That's good job, Hank. Yeah. At the Centex table, the other half of the garrison command at Fort Hood, Mr. Keith Gogus, the deputy garrison commander, and his wife, Mary Lou. At the Workforce Solutions of Central Texas, Cool People table, there we go, that's what I'm talking about. They have the commander of the 36th Engineer Brigade, Colonel Jim Copen, and his wife, Tammy. And the other half of the command team, Command Sergeant Major Darren Oliphant, and his wife, Jackie. The city of Killeen is hosting this evening a new organization that's now been assigned to Fort Hood, the 3rd Security Force Assistance Brigade. The commander, Colonel Promotable Chuck Maz, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, and his wife, Kim, as well as his Command Sergeant Major Raymond Harris, and his wife, Leah. Also at that table, we have the Command Sergeant Major of the 1st Air Cav Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division, Command Sergeant Major Dan Snyder, and his wife, Minnie. The Killeen Veterinary Clinic is hosting this evening Colonel Brett Forbes, the commander of the Division Artillery, 1st Cavalry Division, and his wife, Christy. And I really hope some of these people are standing up because I can't see worth a darn looking out there. I'm just being honest. From Toyota Killeen, they are hosting this evening the commander of the 1st Air Cav Brigade, Colonel Van Zant, and his wife, Lydia. And also at that table, we have the Deputy Commander for Maneuver from 1st Cavalry Division, Colonel Promotable Chris Norrie, and his wife, Kathy. Banquet is hosting the commander of the Rear Detachment, 1st Medical Brigade, Colonel Jeff Yarvis. Encore this evening is hosting the command team from the 11th Signal Theater Tactical Signal Brigade, the commander, Colonel David Thomas, and his Command Sergeant Major Demetol Vital. If I pronounced that right, if I didn't, I apologize. Seton Medical Center this evening is hosting the Command Sergeant Major of the Carl R. Darnall Army Medical Center, Command Sergeant Major Kyle Brunel, and his wife, Stephanie. MPCA is hosting the commander of the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division, Colonel Jeremy Wilson. Caldwell Banker Shine Team is hosting this evening the Command Sergeant Major from the 69th Air Defense Artillery Brigade, Command Sergeant Major Tom Williams, and his wife, Sarah. And HEB is proud to host Miss Catherine Light, the spouse of the commander of the 1st Armored Brigade Combat Team. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause from our friends from the Great Place? So I do have a few other recognitions that I want to make, and this is going to relate specifically to some of our organizations and elected officials throughout the community. So let me start by recognizing our community partners in the Central Texas region. Let's start with Killeen and Harker Heights City Councils. Would all City Council members of Killeen and Harker Heights please stand to be recognized? And this is where you can clap when they stand. We have also some of our elected officials from Bell County, Central Texas College, and the Killeen Independent School District. So if you're a part of those elected officials, please stand to be recognized. We'd also like to thank some of our neighboring chambers of commerce for attending tonight. So if you're a part of the Temple or Harker Heights Chambers of Commerce, please stand to be recognized. And now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce the Deputy Commanding General for Maneuver, Major General Ken Camper. And on his way up, I just want to kind of give you a little snippet about his entrance in this evening. His wife, Krista, actually pulled up the vehicle to the front of the Killeen Civic and Conference Center to let Major General Camper out, while she went to a far-off region parking space in the pouring down rain to make her way in. That is chivalry, maybe, sorta. Ladies and gentlemen, Major General Ken Camper.
So, yeah, Todd Fox, thanks for sharing that story with General Cox there. Appreciate that. I'm here to report chivalry has died. Krista drives to events, and that's how it worked out tonight. She knows I still love her, though, I think. Well, General Cox, I had written here, thanks for that kind introduction, but what I will say is my name's Ken Camper, and I'm a Phantom Warrior. And what is a Phantom Warrior? Phantom Warrior is what we call the 3rd U.S. Armored Corps. It gets its history from the Battle of the Bulge, when the Phantom Corps broke through the siege at Bastogne, and we're all proud Phantom Warriors. Now, I recognize I'm in a precarious position. I'm between you and dinner getting delivered, I think. And I was warned, threatened even, that this is 3 to 5 minutes. So I'll just start by recognizing all of you by saying it's simply an honor to share this evening with such a distinguished group of folks who not only care for and contribute to their greater Killeen community, but also love their military soldiers and families. Now, many of you know the 3rd U.S. Corps, 90,000 folks strong across 4 or 5 different installations. Our commander just redeployed with the Command Sergeant Major, and Major General Felix Gedney was on that same flight that landed last Friday. They just redeployed Friday with the last 140 soldiers. And General Funk is on some well-deserved leave in Florida, I think, as of yesterday, after being deployed for 13 months, leading a multinational coalition in the fight against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. General Funk asked me to pass on his deepest appreciation and gratitude for all that each of you do and for all that you do collectively together to support our soldiers and families. Thanks for your unwavering support and unconditional love of your soldiers and Army families, is what he said. So this year we celebrate the 3rd U.S. Corps' centennial anniversary, 100 years. We're going to do that in a series of events from 12 to 20 October, beginning on the 12th, Friday, the 12th of October. General Funk and Command Sergeant Major Crosby will give a State of the Corps presentation, followed by a Lieutenant General Yosak memorial dedication. We'll have golf scramble, warrior competitions, trap shooting, fitness expo. We'll have a national night out open house and barbecue festival Monday the 15th, and we'll close it all out on Saturday the 20th with a Phantom Warrior salute and carnival with the Lieutenant Dan Band. Although allegedly a former Corps Commander, General Milley, promoted Lieutenant Dan to Captain Dan a short while ago. That's going to be big and it's going to be fun, and I know some of y'all will be part of it, and you're more than welcome to join in with us. So even as we celebrate redeployments and centennials, Fort Hood continues to provide soldiers and formations to worldwide deployments, both combat deployments in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria, and operational deployments to places like Europe and Korea. We currently still have from across 3 Corps, about 11,000 3 Corps soldiers deployed throughout the world. From Fort Hood, our 3rd Cavalry Regiment is in Iraq and Syria with about half of the regiment, and they will redeploy in March of 19. Major General Paul Calvert's 1st Cavalry Division has the 1st Armor Brigade combat team spread out across Europe on a 9-month deployment, scheduled to return in February, March of 19. The 1st Cav's 3rd Brigade is in an intensive training cycle currently. They'll go to the National Training Center in California in January, and then they will go to Korea for a 9-month deployment beginning in July. And then lastly, the 1st Cav's 2nd Brigade will go to the National Training Center for a month in April, and then begin a 9-month rotation to Europe a year from now. On all the other units where there's leaders represented here have soldiers deployed as well. Your soldiers who wear the cloth of our nation with the United States flag on their right shoulders and the words U.S. Army over their hearts, your soldiers stand as a beacon of freedom across the world. They volunteered to serve. They're men and women who all took an oath to support and defend our Constitution, to protect American values and freedom as laid out by our founding fathers. You have every right to be proud of your soldiers and your Army. And in closing, I just want to share a little bit about how transitory our lives can be in the military, just to illustrate how much we appreciate the community that wraps our arms around soldiers and families. You know, we have constant transition at Fort Hood. Every year, about 10,000 soldiers transition out of the Army, either from Fort Hood or through Fort Hood. A number of you all are involved with that, with businesses and transition programs to find those soldiers jobs. About 40+% of them stay right here in Texas. Fort Hood, through Hank Perry over there and Keith Gogus, work with about 2,300 organizations and businesses to help our soldiers when they transition out of service in the Army to contribute to a community and a workplace somewhere. And you all are a large part of that. We also conduct welcome events for our soldiers every week. Every week, 200 to 250, sometimes as many 300 soldiers a week arrive at Fort Hood. And just to share what might happen, soldier arrives at Fort Hood, goes to the 3rd Brigade of 1st Cavalry Division, and almost immediately goes out in the field back and forth for a couple months. Then they deploy for a month to California, and then they come back on a couple-month packed timeline to get ready to go be gone for 9 months. This affair of the heart that we call soldiering, it can be a hard life, and we appreciate that this community is our rock. So I just want to close with a heartfelt thanks for all that you do to make our soldiers and families know that this is the great place when they get to Fort Hood. I've served at military installations all over the world, and I can tell you there's no finer community bond than Fort Hood and Killeen and the rest of the surrounding communities. And you make it that way. You make it that way. We're truly blessed with your friendship and support. Thank you. May God bless you and your families. May God continue to bless the Republic of Texas, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
General Camper, sir, thank you very much for those comments. I'm sure they meant a lot to everybody here. And I want to personally, as well as everybody else here, thank you, all of the soldiers and spouses that are attending tonight, as well as the many thousand, as you already have addressed, that are throughout the world protecting our freedoms. This community is truly blessed to have Fort Hood here, and we're proud of every single one of you, so thank you, sir. Now, yeah, absolutely. Now it's time to have dinner. Please enjoy dinner catered by Let Us Do the Cooking.
I hope you have all enjoyed the meal provided by our incoming chair, Meredith Weigers, and Let Us Do the Cooking. Thank you. Please keep on eating if you have not finished yet. Before you hear from our guest speaker and learn more about our Chamber Awards, I want to take the opportunity to update you on our environment, some of the tasks we have accomplished, and the opportunities before us. Tonight, as we reflect on the theme of our bright future, I want to start by looking back at the past 2 years. It has been a time of transition for me personally and for the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce. Last year, I had the privilege of attending the Association of the United States Army's Eisenhower Luncheon in Washington, D.C. During the event, I heard General Mark Milley, the 39th Chief of Staff for the United States Army, talk about an idea. His idea of why we fight. The idea states, here in America, we will have a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And it says that all of the people, regardless of whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight or anything in between. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or Asian or Indian or any other ethnic group. It doesn't matter what your country of origin is or the spelling of your last name. It does not matter if you're a Catholic or Protestant, Muslim or Jew, and it doesn't matter if you don't believe at all. It does not matter if you're rich or poor or common or famous. In this country, in this United States, under those colors of red, white, and blue, in this country, all Americans are created free and equal. And we will rise or fall based on our merit, and we will be judged by the content of our character, not the color of our skin. That is the core organizing principle of the United States of America. So much is said in the news about differences regarding race, religion, and equality. However, I'm proud to be here in the middle of Texas, right next to the largest military installation in the world, as the first Muslim naturalized American citizen, chairman of the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce. This evening is the last time that I will stand before this audience as your chairman. When I joined the chamber in 2006, I had no idea that I would end up here on this stage. Exactly 2 years ago, when I became chairman, the city of Killeen enacted a series of budget reductions in reaction to its financial challenges. The reductions included a 50% decrease in the city's payment to the Chamber for Economic Development Services and a 50% decrease to the Killeen Economic Development Corporation, which provides incentive funding to new businesses. Those reductions created a challenge that remains today. The first thing we did to address this challenge was create options for eliminating elements in our plan of work and the associated expenses. Our board then evaluated those options and acted in support of removing certain elements and expenses. We also organized a planning retreat to find ideas for replacing those lost funds and conducted many meetings with chamber staff and our hired consultant, Power 10. As a result of this rigorous collaborative process, we created the Fort Hood Region Economic Development Foundation and the 14 Forward campaign. Our original intention was to use the money raised from the campaign to restore the elements we had removed. Instead, we created new goals. Goals we had long deferred, mainly due to lack of resources. Those goals are grow business and investment, 2,250 jobs over 5 years specifically, promote Fort Hood, and strengthen infrastructure to improve quality of place. Today, we are pursuing those new goals. We have raised a little more than $1.75 million in funding from our chamber members. We have put appropriate governance in place. We have hired staff. Difficult and risky decisions were made by our board to get us to this point. At the same time, we have continued to execute those elements of our plan of work that we retained. Each of our sectors have played an integral role in this execution. First, our military relations sector attended and participated in 48 events on post and hosted 11 events for senior commanders in the community, participated in or led 50 meetings of the Central Texas Fort Hood chapter of the Association of United States Army, led 4 trips to the U.S. Army's National Training Center with 42 participants, organized a ceremony to present the Great American Defense Award to 7 cities and 3 counties in Central Texas. Second, our investor services sector recruited 664 new members, sold out LeaderCast 2017 and 2018. Our Vice President of Investor Services has joined the LeaderCast host site advisory board, and LeaderCast for Women is being planned next month. Hosted our Flavors of Central Texas events in 2017 and 2018 with more than 1,800 attendees and 87 vendors. Within the sector, our Public Education Council organized annual events, including new teacher showcases and 8th grade and high school career days. Our Nonprofit Council held 29 meetings, included membership meetings, business over breakfast, and industry tours. Our Information Technology Council held cybersecurity and fraud seminars. Our public policy sector organized a Jimmy Don Aycock Appreciation Dinner and the official Interstate Highway 14 signing ceremony. Hosted luncheons and receptions for 10 national, state, and local elected officials, including U.S. senators and congressmen, our state senator, and all 3 local state representatives. Conducted a legislative tour of our community, including Fort Hood, for members of the legislature and their staff at the beginning of the 2017 session, and have started working on the event for the 2019 session. Joined the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's lawsuit to stop excessive overtime rules, supported the Killeen Independent School District bond issue. Our business development sector counseled 867 individuals and conducted 71 workshops through our Business Resource Center, provided 30 customized proposals to investors, organized 25 meetings for the Killeen Economic Development Corporation, drafted 7 performance agreements for new community projects, attended 13 trade shows and similar marketing events across the U.S. The MPCA Chemical Company, with $23 million, soon to be $38 million in new capital investment. Solex with 180 new jobs in downtown to go along with 175 existing jobs there. 140 new jobs at Blackboard Student Services, and 150 new jobs at Z Modular, a new company in the Killeen Business Park. Our communications sector launched a new website with advertising and internet marketing capabilities, posted 171 stories to the website, wrote and placed 53 new releases and stories in local media, won first place for Best Magazine at the Texas Chamber of Commerce Executives Association Media Awards, provided weekly electronic newsletters to members and quarterly newsletters to targeted audiences. And finally, our talent development and place design sector continued our annual Leadership Killeen program to focus on leadership skills development and graduating classes of approximately 20 professionals each year, participated through our Young Professionals organization in 42 meetings and events that allowed them to contribute $7,557 to the city for new equipment at Stewart Park and more than $120,000 to Central Texas College and Texas A&M University, Central Texas for scholarships. Organized a mural painting in downtown Killeen at the corner of Gray Street and Avenue D. My point to this recap proves that what American entrepreneur and LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman said is indeed true. No matter how brilliant your mind or strategy, if you're playing a solo game, you will always lose out to a team. Even though I will no longer be the chairman, I'm proud to say that I'm a member of the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce team. I hope you are proud to be a member also. Now, I would like to ask our board of directors to please stand. None of the tasks I mentioned could have been accomplished without their help, support, and graciousness in responding to my late-night emails. Please give them another round of applause. Also, would like to thank some of my mentors who have helped and supported me in these last 2 years, Mr. Wallace Vernon, Mr. Bill Cleaver, and Mr. Charlie Watts. Thank you. I would like to thank the chamber staff for answering my calls and emails. I know Ms. Rebecca is probably very happy that she will not have to get so many calls from me anymore. I'm sure Ms. Heather will not miss my frequent requests for financial updates. And I know Mr. Crutchfield will be bored on Fridays since we used that time from 3 to 5 to fix all the world's problems. But seriously, John kept me on course as we navigated some very difficult decisions in these last 2 years, and he made it all look so easy. So thank you, John, and all the chamber staff for supporting me. Finally, I would like to thank the person who keeps my life in order. I'm sure several of you have talked to her and emailed her, my executive assistant, Courtney Kissel. She's here today. I know there are many times I take her for granted, and although I know probably don't say it enough, I hope she realizes how important her help is to me. So she does her best to make sure that I am where I need to be, and I'm sure that I would be lost without her. So thank you, Courtney. Thank you for the role you have all played in my journey, and thank you to everyone here tonight for your continued support to our Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce. God bless our community, God bless Texas, and God bless the United States of America. Now it is my pleasure to invite Meredith Weigers to come forward to introduce our guest speaker this evening.
Good evening. John Griffin is a highly accomplished international coach. He's a speaker and a facilitator. He currently operates in the role of international president for the President's Advisory Council for the John Maxwell team. You can see the remainder of his bio in your program this evening and note the many accolades and accomplishments that he's had over his time. The one adjustment I will make is that in your program it says he oversees 19,000 coaches, and that is now over 20,000. But really the reason that John is here to speak with you tonight is that because when I became aware that we were looking for someone to come talk to us about the future and our area, he was the very first person that came to my mind, because when we met a couple of years ago at the John Maxwell team certification, I got the opportunity to see him in action, in serving people from all over the world, and his passion to develop leaders and really move organizations to the next step. So that is why he's here to speak with us tonight, and I hope that you will give a very warm welcome to our keynote speaker and my friend, John Griffin.
All right. What a great room, and I am so honored to be here this evening. You know, one of the things that was real easy to accept this, the honor to be able to talk to you, is first and foremost, if you haven't figured out, I don't like standing behind these big wooden things. But you all are my heroes, and I'm not just saying that to patronize you. The military are my heroes. My wife and I, Antoinette, who's here with me tonight, we both grew up in military families. And so you're my heroes. You may not be in the military, but you've already heard the general talk about how this community is rallied around to support them. And people who support the military are my heroes. So thank you so much for what we do for them. Tonight, I want to talk to you, though, about the future. And I've been blessed to be a part of an organization that is future-focused. This year alone, I've gotten to go to Costa Rica to be a part of a group where we trained over 19,000 leaders to transform a country. Last year, I got to go to Paraguay, where we did the same thing, and 7 different streams of influence there to begin a leadership transformation to transform a country. And just recently, 2 weeks ago, got back from North Dakota, where the governor of that state has allowed us to train his cabinet, the extended cabinet, the judicial, executive, and legislative leaders, and 1,300 individual contributors throughout the state to begin a leadership transformation of the country. And I don't share that with you to try to impress you at all. I share it to impress upon you that I believe there's a movement right now of leadership going across this nation, because we have a vacuum in all kinds of areas around this globe. And so I want to share just a few observations that I've learned as I've gotten the opportunity to talk with groups like yourself and many people around the world. And so if we could move to the PowerPoint, I am one of those PowerPoint guys. I want to show you a couple of things and ask you a question. And so this will be a question that I'm actually going to give you about 30, 45 seconds at your table. And we won't do this for everything tonight. We're only doing it at the beginning. But I want you to answer this question. And there's no prizes, but you can answer the question. What do you see in that picture? Answer each other at the table. All right, it sounds like a few people had a little bit too much fun with that. And so I'm sure a few of you said the obvious, you know, it's an acorn. Many people say, well, it's just a little nut. It's a seed. There's all kinds of different things that people would say. And so the obvious is that many people can get to the point where they see that it can be a seed and that planted in the proper soil and with nutrients, it can grow roots and begin to become a beautiful tree. And in the hundreds, and probably over 1,000 people who've heard me talk about the acorn now, they get this far, where we see the tree. And what I want to ask you is, can you see beyond the tree? Can you see the forest that reproduces from the tree that came from that little nut? You see, in a room this big, I know there's a few little nuts in this room. We've got potential in this room. And those of you, you know who you are, you little nuts. Because I'm one too. And so if you're a little nut, then you see beyond the tree and you see beyond the forest. Because you know that it can be a source of food. It can be a bridge across a gorge that was never able to be crossed. It could even become shelter. It's far beyond the tree, far beyond the acorn. But it all started with a little nut that had the potential, that was placed in the right environment, with the right nutrients, the right support system around it, to flourish, to reproduce itself, and reproduce other trees that would then in turn do that, to ultimately provide shelter and food and bridges. What's different here? That's what I see in this room. As I had the privilege and honor to first visit with Abdul and Meredith to talk about tonight, and them telling me all the incredible things that you have done here in Killeen. And it reminded me that apparently we've got a bunch of little nuts in this room. And I hope you do know by now, that's a compliment. I'm not calling you an out. But as we then visited, I had the honor to talk to Rebecca and Mr. Crutchfield, and to hear the incredible vision that they have and what you are doing in this community. And reproducing leaders, attracting businesses. It is amazing, and so I am very honored to talk to you tonight. We want to share a few other things, and if you could go back to the PowerPoint. The thing about when we see a nut, when we see a seed, an acorn, it takes me back to these two quotes. The one on the left you'll see is by Wayne Dyer. He says, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. When we change the way we look at our business begins to change. When we change the way we look at people, the people around us begin to change. When we change the way we look at our circumstances, the circumstances we're in begin to change. I love that quote. And this room is full of people who are willing to change the way you're looking at things. Some of you need to change the way you're looking at the people across the table, because they'll begin to change. The quote on the right-hand side, though, is by Max Lucado, one of my favorite authors. And he says, you know, your challenges aren't your challenge. Your challenge is the what you think about your challenge. And so when I began to look into the history of your community, I think for a long time you lived in the shadow of some communities out to the east of here. And as I learned your legacy and began to hear how you are now moving forward, and you've got the 14 forward, so you're literally moving forward. You've got a great opportunity ahead of you. And one of the things that, I'm one of these guys where I want all hands on deck. And what I really appreciated when I talked to Mr. Crutchfield and Rebecca from the office here, they said, we want all hands, but we want all hands somewhere. It's not all hands in every single thing that you do, but we need everybody involved in some place at some time that fits your schedule or your time or your finances, whatever it is. But to be a part of a team that is able to see things differently and to think about the challenges differently. I've been inspired and I've already learned from Mr. Crutchfield, Abdul. I've already admired the leadership that you've had and the things that you not only shared with me, but you shared tonight. And that does take a team. And so well done. I'm honored to stand here. But when we go beyond the two quotes, and I want to share with you just a journey. I want to take you from the U.S. out to Europe, to a small little country called Romania. And I was asked to go speak to about 300 new coaches out there that are in a country where our dollar, it's 25 cents on the dollar over there. I could go out to and eat like a king for about $16. Unbelievable. I would take Uber and it would be like $1.50 to go 15, 20 minutes away. The people there are making next to nothing in income. But yet these coaches came and were going through a certification program to begin to transform their community. They were a bunch of little nuts. They began to see things a little bit different and their challenges became different. They began to grow and got into the right soil and hung around each other. And it was an honor to begin to talk with them. And if you could show a picture up on the screen, I want to show you this group of people that I talked to. It's coming. Well, I guess they're the invisible Romanians. Here we go. It's going the wrong way. I want you to see, that's the group. And yes, I'm making a weird face in the center of this, but I want to tell you about these people. The day before I got to speak to them, because I was there actually talking about culture, and I took a tour of the city around, it was in Cluj, Romania. It was a very young town, and I began to learn the legacy of the Romanian people. Of course, they were conquered by the Romans, hence their name, Romania. Then they were conquered by the Hungarians. Then they went through several mini conquerings and changing of leaders, but they were always conquered and then told what to do. They were never allowed to think for themselves. And then came World War I and II, and they were told what to do when they were taken over by the communists. And as I went around the city, I could see beautiful buildings, and then they would show me this ugly gray building, and they say, everywhere you see an ugly gray building, that was built during the communist era here. Many of the people I talked to as I walked around the city, they remember their parents standing in line for 6 and 7 hours with these coupons just to get a loaf of bread and some milk. They were conquered and always told what to think and what to do. And so it moved me that even though that wasn't the subject of my talk, but when I stood before them that day, I started off my talk with them and let them know what I just told you, what I learned about them. And I said, I want to give you permission today. I want to give you permission to think for yourselves. I want to give you permission to go fail and it be okay, learn from it, and try again.
but you're free to go think. And you see, to share that in the United States seems a little silly. But as I looked out in the audience of 300 people, those people who were on the screen, many of them began to cry. And I'm kind of an empathetic crier, and so I was struggling standing in front of them. I was not expecting that. All I did was give them permission to think. And they were resilient people. Why do we have to give people permission to think? I don't know that yet. But I do want to tell you that what I do know is that they were anchored in the past. And they needed somebody to help them and give them permission to pull up anchor and move on. And as I talk and I listened into the community in Killeen, there's some of that. I don't know if it's in this room, but I know it's in the community that there are some folks who are anchored in the past. That all this progress does make them nervous. And if by chance somebody is in the room with that, I can tell you it'll be okay. It's going to be good. It's going to be better days. We're in good hands. Other people are anchored in the past of failures and are afraid to pick up and try again. Some people are anchored in the past of things that were said about them or worried about what people think across the county on the other side. I want to give you permission to move past that, to raise anchor and move on. You've got better days ahead. I can't believe what you've already accomplished just in listening to the list that you provided. But with the 14 Forward campaign and all of the opportunities ahead of you, those who don't raise anchor are going to drown. And so I want to encourage you, what do you need to do to raise anchor? Because here's what I've learned. I was inspired by a couple of folks that I talked to that I wanted to share with you, and I'll show you them on the screen as well. The first one, there we go. The first one was Michelle Smith and Charles Duncan. They own Great Escape of Central Texas. And I didn't get to see you tonight, so where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay, great. So I really enjoyed talking to them today, and as we talked, I got to learn a little bit of their story, and one of the themes that just resonated with me as I talked to Michelle and Charles was that the Killeen Chamber was so welcoming to them, was so inviting to them, and allowed them to really get involved. And in a short period of time, they got involved in the chamber. The chamber began promoting their events. So just like Abdul shared earlier with the social media stuff, they're a recipient of that. She said they would put an event out on social media, and the next thing they knew, they saw the chamber pick it up and was promoting it for them. They were allowed to get involved in the welcome committee. And it became just an integral part of their business. And so you have had an incredible part in their success. But another individual that I got to speak to was Mr. Bill Cleaver. And what a treat that was. And Mr. Cleaver, again, thank you for your service. I learned that he used to fly helicopters out here and had served our country as well. And not only that, he had served, and you all probably already know this, but he had served as one of the past chairs of the board here. But the theme, as he and I were talking today, was, and I loved how he said this. He said, John, every big business, every great endeavor that has really happened in this committee, in this community, has come out of a committee or a group that's in the Chamber of Commerce. Think about that. All of these great things that Abdul listed earlier are coming right out of you, of those who are getting involved. And I know, and they didn't ask me to say this, but I know that there's plenty other ideas that people have up here in their noggin that we need to get involved in those groups and committees to learn and to implement more new things. But with each of us, if we see ourselves as that little nut, we have an opportunity for greatness. Because here's what I know, is I'll get it personal for a minute. I happen to be a person of faith, and I believe that I have a creator, and I know that my creator doesn't create junk. And in this room, we've got no junkyard. We've got a lot of great people in this room with great ideas that are waiting to be birthed if you just let us know what they are, if you just get involved somewhere. And so when we talked, when Mr. Cleaver and I talked, the theme that came out of that, with all of these great things that are going on in the community, he said, a rising tide raises all boats. You see, when someone else in the community succeeds, you succeed. When we bring new business into the area, if you don't have an abundance mindset and realize that there's plenty of resources going around in this world, there's plenty of opportunity for us all to do business together. A rising tide raises all boats. And you have that opportunity when being a part of this organization, being a part of this community. You have been recipients of the rising tide. But the challenge is when you're anchored and the tide rises, you drown. Because pretty soon you run out of the chain that holds the anchor, and it holds you in place, and the water still rises. We've got to raise our anchor and go forward. And even as I say that, I realize I probably should have used an Army analogy, because I'm getting closer to the Navy, so I apologize, General, but that's the best I can do as far as the analogies. But that, I'll blame it on Mr. Cleaver, though, because that was his quote, "The rising tide raises all boats." But I want to leave you, Joe, though, with just a couple of thoughts. If you're anchored in the thought as an entrepreneur, wondering what other people think of you. You know, when I walk into a room like this, I'm human. And here's what I know about human beings. We're perfectly imperfect. And in being perfectly imperfect, when I walk in a room, I'm wondering, okay, who am I going to talk to? I'm not as outgoing as my wife is. She makes me look like an introvert and a shy guy. But yet I can get up here and talk, and that's okay. But you'll know it when you and I talk. You'll see that she's going to talk to you a lot more than me. We're perfectly imperfect. And so in a room like this, when we come into it and we get involved into a great organization like this, we're wondering what other people are going to think if I share my idea, or I get involved, or I want to volunteer to lead something. Here's what I'll tell you what they're thinking. They're not. I'm a little narcissistic, I learned, and I always thought people were thinking about me, and I discovered they're not. And if you take it a little bit further, I found out this wonderful quote from a gentleman named Les Brown. He said, "What other people think of you is none of your business." Think about that. What other people think of you is none of your business. What those communities to the east of here think of you is none of your business. Let them think, but I bet you they're not. I've done a lot of business in Dallas and Fort Worth, and I found it very amusing in those communities, because Fort Worth hates Dallas, and Dallas doesn't care, because Dallas is so consumed with itself. And so all of the folks over in Fort Worth were hating on Dallas not thinking about them. But here's what I found. It was the people in Fort Worth are so nice. And the folks in Fort Worth really remind me a lot of you here. And I hope you like Fort Worth, because that is a compliment. Because when we walked in every single group that I walked into tonight, I never felt like that there was a clique that I was having to break into. I felt like these were just people allowing me to get to know them, that nobody knew I was going to be talking tonight. You were very welcoming. You do that naturally. Well, people in Fort Worth, I learned, do that naturally as well. And that's part of your secret sauce. That was one of the things that came out of both of my interviews with Mr. Cleaver and with Michelle and Charles, is that there's no cliques here. There's a lot of cliques elsewhere. That's one of your secret sauce. And if you are in this room and somehow you feel like there might be a clique, I just dispelled that for you. There's no cliques in Killeen. And so get involved, feel free to. As entrepreneurs, though, I want to leave you, though, with one last story. I want to share, it's actually another quote from Les Brown that he said. And he said, life is a fight for territory. Life is a fight for territory. And the moment you don't fight for what you do want, what you don't want will automatically take over. Life's a fight for territory. If you're not going to fight for what you do want, what you don't want is going to automatically take over. And I've found that whatever we focus on, that's what we get. And if we focus on what we don't want, that's what we're going to get. And so my question to you is, what do you want? What do you want for your community? What do you want for your business? What do you want for your family? What do you want for your friends? What do you want? Because if you'll fight for it, I believe you'll get it. I believe we find what we're looking for every single time. If we're looking for an opportunity, the opportunities will present itself. As a matter of fact, as business owners, if you look for what's wrong with your employees and your team members, you'll find it. But if you look for what's right with them, you'll find it. There's always something right with everyone. If you're looking for what's right in this chamber, you're going to find it all day long. And you're in very capable hands and capable leadership with this team. I hope you focus on what you do want and that you don't worry about what folks in other areas are thinking, because you've got a brighter future ahead and you're in great hands with the leadership team that you got here. It's been an honor to talk to you tonight. Hope a little something got under your skin. Good night.
Get to the right page. Thank you, John, for your remarks and your insight. We appreciate you taking the time to speak to us tonight, and we look forward to seeing everything that Killeen has in store. Now is a perfect time to refresh your drink. We've also set up a coffee service at the back, so help yourselves. If you're still eating, please continue to do so. My name is Michael Linneman. I've had the pleasure of serving on the board here for 4 years, and I'll be vice chair coming into next year. As most of you know, the Chamber is composed of several business councils, the purpose of which is to group or segment members with other members who share common interest. The idea is that the people who populate these councils can work with our staff to create member-driven benefit in which all can share. Our councils are composed of volunteers who work hard to fulfill the mission of the group, and in doing so, they help advance the mission of the Chamber as a whole. Several of these councils have selected individuals and businesses for their outstanding contributions to the Chamber and the greater Killeen community, which we will now recognize. Please meet Board Chair Abdul Sabani down at the front of the stage when your name is called for your award presentation and your photograph. The Public Education Council works with local businesses and educational institutions to develop solutions to educational issues that impact the region's competitiveness and quality of life. Tonight, the Council is giving 2 awards to recognize the individual and a business for their commitment to education. The Public Education Council Individual of the Year Award is given to an individual who has participated in Public Education Council-sponsored events and supports community education activities. This commitment to excellence and demonstrated leadership is an inspiration to others. This year's Public Education Council Individual of the Year is Anjanette Wilkerson with Killeen Independent School District. Another round of applause, please. Apparently, I was too close to the mic. Can you hear me? Okay. The Public Education Council Business of the Year Award is given to a member in good standing with the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce that has actively participated in Public Education Council events, supports community education activities, and allows employees to volunteer time at educational events. This year's Public Education Council Business of the Year is Texas A&M University, Central Texas. The Welcome Council was created to match experienced members of the Chamber with new members. The Welcome Council Member of the Year Award is given to a Welcome Council volunteer who has shown exceptional initiative and dedicated to the organization. This individual has actively participated in Welcome Council events, mentored new Chamber members, and served as a model representative of the Chamber. This year's Welcome Council Member of the Year is Kathy Swaim with Amera Store Self-Storage. The Nonprofit Council was formed to bring like-minded organizations together to learn more about transparency and government governance in this changing world, and to figure out new ways to work together to serve the community. The Nonprofit of the Year Award is given to a not-for-profit member that has the positive impact on the area and with the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce. This organization has shown a history of proven impact and dedication to serving the community's needs. This year's Nonprofit of the Year is Operation Phantom Sport. The Greater Killeen Young Professionals was formed to give young professionals access to events and programs that would allow them to grow professionally and help grow the community. The Greater Killeen Young Professional of the Year should exhibit dedication and service toward the Greater Killeen Young Professionals, be an example of the qualities the organization stands for, and be a member in good standing or an immediate past member. This year's Greater Killeen Young Professional of the Year is Ali Torres with First National Bank. Our membership and board of directors participated in the nomination and selection of the Small Business of the Year, Large Business of the Year, and the Roy J. Smith Awards. Recipients were chosen based on their community contributions and their support for the Chamber. The Small Business of the Year Award is earned by a Chamber member business with fewer than 50 employees who has contributed greatly to programs and events benefiting the Chamber and the community. The 2018 Small Business of the Year Award goes to Great Escapes of Central Texas. Would Charles Duncan and his team please come forward?
Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce 2018 Small Business of the Year Award, Great Escape of Central Texas.
So we started off with 2 locations, one in Robinson outside of Waco and one obviously on W.S. Young and Killeen. We realized that there was a demand in this community for more entertainment, so we decided to move to this larger location. As far as the creative process is concerned, Charles is the brains behind this. He designs the room themes, he designs the room puzzles. He tells me what the room wants it to look like, and then I have to help bring that to life. Both of us have to agree on the room concept that I come up with. That's where this stuff starts, is 1, get the green light, and then 2, okay, what do I want to play? And then start setting up how I want to play it. What would be unique about this room compared to the other rooms? You put it on paper, draw the things out and what it would look like on the concept of the room. And then we start doing measurements and then start putting it together.
The work he does, it makes it feel like you're actually in the environment, whatever the room is, the story of the room is set. And then the story that they develop and that Michelle shares with you when you start your adventure really brings you into that environment.
When you're in the clue room in the study, you really feel like you are in a study of a mansion. When you're in Harry Potter, you feel like you're a part of that movie set. When you're in this cabin, it's like you're in a cabin in the woods. There's so many details.
They've also done some great things for a lot of organizations in terms of team building. There's businesses that come in and bring their employees in, or their staff or their leadership in, because it's a great opportunity to see how people react under stress, to get people to work together, and so they're always very willing to host groups like that to help bring people closer together. We came into this community when, at the time, there was a lack of entertainment options in the community and places for people to get together that did not involve alcohol, that was family friendly. I think that we do a lot with the community as far as giveaways, and we do a lot with the Harker Heights Chamber of Commerce and the Killeen Chamber of Commerce. You know, helping the Killeen Chamber of Commerce with their networking, whether it be involved with Flavors of Central Texas, whatever the case may be. We try to give back as much as we get from the community. We have a big shout out to the community. They've embraced us, they've welcomed us better than anywhere else we've been. Having people come back, and it's the biggest testament to me to say that they enjoyed something I created for them in the first place that I wanted to play. And so I'm getting to experience the fun through them. And so it's my high to know to keep doing.
The Large Business of the Year Award is given to a Killeen area business with more than 50 employees. This business should have a sustained positive impact on the area and the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce. The awardee will have displayed a spirit of teamwork, be active in projects benefiting the Chamber and the Greater Killeen area, the support and mission values of the Chamber, and support the mission and values of the Chamber. The 2018 Large Business of the Year Award goes to Solix Incorporated. Would Alan Lane, Senior VP and CFO, and his team please come forward to receive your award?
Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce 2018 Large Business of the Year Award, Solix Incorporated.
Solix is a company that prides itself on using our expertise to help our customers find the best processes, people, and technology to match people to the services that they need the most when they need them.
The corporate office is located in Parsippany, New Jersey, and we have contact centers here in Killeen, Texas, as well as Charleston, Illinois. There's also a newly acquired company, Civic Solutions, that is in Utica, New York.
Customer service is the foundation of what we do. It's very important that we're treating every customer internally and externally with respect and giving them the best possible service we can, whether it's helping a company with a federal lifeline eligibility situation or helping an elderly individual find the right healthcare option for them. Everyone deserves to receive excellent service.
We all have been in a position where we needed help, we needed guidance, we needed expertise, we needed a smooth transaction, a friendly voice on the other side. So to be able to be humble and to serve others is the highest, I think, honor. Part of that service that we extend to others is stemming from us and our ability to connect with each other.
Everyone brings a unique set of skills and experience with them to the table. So even the person that's not normally in charge of a specific process may be the person that has the best idea for how we improve it.
We also actually get a chance to volunteer with this company. And that too is just helping to spur that teamwork sense, that teamwork atmosphere, to be able to take what we have, what we've built, the common goals, the common themes, having that like mind, and then be able to spread that elsewhere.
In the Killeen area specifically, we participated in the Downtown Mural Project that's a couple blocks from our facilities. We also have participated in Toys for Tots.
The most recent thing we did was a big drive back when the hurricane hit to try to help all the people that were coming up this way. This is a company that cares about people that work for them, people that they're working for, people in the community, and we do have that incredible tight-knit sense of family that oftentimes can get lost in a large business environment.
As you all know, this is Sis Beck, the 2017 She was a 2017 recipient of the Roy J. Smith Award. Every year, the Roy J. Smith Award is given for outstanding community leadership. Leadership by extraordinary people is a part of every thriving community. Our community was blessed with the leadership efforts and outstanding contributions of the late Roy J. Smith. This award has been named in his honor and is given to an individual for their lifelong commitment to improving the Central Texas area. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 2018 Roy J. Smith Award recipient, Mr. Charlie Watts.
Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce 2018 Large Business of the Year Award, Solix Incorporated. Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce 2018 Roy J. Smith Award, Charlie Watts.
Well, first I'll go back to his high school years because that's kind of where he learned to serve. He was class of 70 at Killeen High School. I was his principal. And he was a model student, but I always pictured Charlie as a leader. He was a quiet leader. He wasn't flamboyant, but he was very, very solid. And I think that began his leadership traits and the things that he began to form as far as community service. He was a very young guy when he got elected to the Killeen School Board and served on that board, and I saw then his commitment to students, to school, to the school district, to the staff of Killeen. His always thinking was about community service.
Charlie always cared more about what happened to other people than what happened to him. Any success that he had, whether it was coaching at the boys club or whether it was in the business, he always gave the credit to the employees, gave the credit to the kids.
He's the type of person that when you have people of his character and integrity in your community, it really makes your community a better place. And how do I say that? Because I lived the experience. I was best friends with his son growing up. And I met him through the Boys and Girls Club, and I was afforded the opportunity to visit, his house on many occasions. And the impact that Charlie Watts had on me was he gave me motivation to go to college. Yes, my parents were, they were, focused and they wanted me to go to school, but neither of them had ever been to school. Mr. Watts had been to college, and he understood the importance of education.
At the time when Charlie was the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, we were trying to do some things to get A&M Central Texas here, and Charlie got into the middle of all that, and again was able to get people together and come up with solutions that were satisfactory to everyone involved. And as a result, we have a great university, as well as we still have a great community college in Central Texas College here today. Charlie's involvement with the Boys and Girls Club has continued on throughout his life. He's involved in the Boys and Girls Club to this day. And one of the biggest things that I think Charlie did was he was the leader of a fundraising effort that they had to raise money to build the new Boys and Girls Club on Tremere. Charlie brought in a professional fundraiser, raised more money than we ever dreamed could be raised.
During his tenure on the Boys and Girls Club board, he started our program related to our personnel policies. He was always very helpful when it came to setting up policies to manage the day-to-day operations of the Boys and Girls Club as it related to safety of the children. At one time, he was also a coach of the Boys Club teams, and he probably has many other activities that I don't even know about. So he's always been very active in the community and very devoted to the community and its improvement.
I'm pretty sure that when he finds out about this, he won't be really happy that he's getting this recognition, he's getting this award, because he's never been a guy who's been about me. He's always been a guy who's been about pointing at someone else saying, you, how can we help you? Here's what you need to do to be better.
I describe him as humble, very humble, quiet, sincere, believing in things that were important like school, church, community, that kind of, and the family man. I think he is highly deserving. I'm thrilled that Charlie will get this award.
I'm very proud to call Charlie Watts my friend. Couldn't ask for a better friend. He's a great guy and a great person and a great leader for this community, and there's no one more than him that deserves this award.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As anybody who's ever served on anything with me, you know that I'm not a public speaker, but I'm going to do the best I can. And thank you for this award. Thank you, Chairman Sabani. Thank you to the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. This is a very prestigious award. I know the history to the award. I knew Mr. Smith. I know all the past recipients, and it's just a lifetime honor, and I appreciate it very much. I want to, real quickly, I want to thank the Banquet Committee for tonight's banquet. It was awesome. Thank you, you guys, for that very much. I saw so many faces in here already, that so many people that I've served on past committees and boards with, and I just want to tell each of you how much I enjoyed it, how much it meant to me, and hopefully we did something very positive for this great community. Real quickly, I want to thank Bill and Mary Cleaver for a partnership that was second to none. And we tried to commit to community involvement, and I think we set a good example as a business of doing that. And I appreciate Mary and Bill more than they'll ever know. I have to also thank my wife, Jan, for her support and her patience, and for being married to a serial volunteer. And also I'd like to thank Cindy McFall and the BKCW team that always supported me and did everything they could for me to make sure I had the time to go out and do these things in the community. I cannot tell you how proud I am of this community. The growth has been unprecedented, and I've lived here all my life, and it's just amazing what has transpired. And John Griffin, you hit it out of the ballpark tonight, I thought, and appreciate everything you said, because this is the best community in the United States, without a doubt. And mark it down, put me on the lifetime team of Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much.
Now, this is a time, according to Crutchfield, you all came here to make sure that I'm out of here as a chair. So it has been my privilege to serve as a board chair for the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce for the past 2 years. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve. It has been a wonderful experience. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce my friend and your next chair of the board, Mrs. Meredith Weigers.
Thank you. Abdul, I speak for all of us on the board. These past few years, when I say it has been a great pleasure serving with you. As our chair, you're a man of considerable talents, and you possess excellent leadership skills. We appreciate your sharing with us that these past few years and the dedication that you brought to the task. You're a great role model. I hope I don't let you down. All of us look forward to your continued service, though, as our past chairperson. And so here's a small token of our shared experience. Absolutely.
Thank you, Meredith. Now I have something for you. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Abdul. Tonight, I would like to start by recognizing all of our former Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce board chairs and board members. So would each of you please stand and be recognized? Round of applause for all of them. Thank you. We are extremely proud of many great things that are happening here. These things are happening because we're a community of doers, people who are innovative, people who take risks, and most importantly, people who work together to get things done. I would like to take a moment to recognize the amazing chamber staff in the back corner over here. Absolutely. They are a true team of professionals with a great leader who continuously look for ways to add value to our business community, which ultimately impacts the quality of life for all of us who live and who work here. And in thinking about a few things I just wanted to share with you this evening, it became very obvious to me when I look at what we've accomplished over the last couple of years and what we have to look forward to, that when I look at this room, I see the generational pillars that established companies here that have now been passed on to children and grandchildren who have laid a foundation that have made it possible for those like myself who are a little newer to the community and to the business world. But you know, there is such a special thing that happens here. And the way that this community takes people and doesn't just say, good luck, hope you do a good job, but can take a nut like me, I was listening, John, who at 6 months pregnant with a husband that was deployed to Iraq, thought it would be a great idea to knock bricks out of the wall of her garage, start a catering company in an industry that I'd never worked in. And when I was trying to figure out how I was going to grow that company, somebody said, you should probably join the chamber. And I went, right, how do you do that? But you welcomed me in. You didn't just welcome me, you supported me in every way possible. You not only allowed me to have a dream and a vision and take a risk and step out, but when I said, how can I help you? You said, we'll help you. See, you supported this crazy girl 12 and a half years ago that had an idea that hadn't been seen in this area before. And because of you, 12 and a half years later, there's over 100 people that we're able to support in this community as our employees. We're able to support organizations in and around the community by donating food, by lending our time, by volunteering, and doing all of the things that make this community so special. Because you see, as part of this community, and as part of what we do, our military affiliations and however you ended up here, the Army brought us here. You kept us here. And so by looking at our past and seeing what we've done and what we've been able to accomplish over the last few years, I am absolutely thrilled about the future of the greater Killeen area. We have so many opportunities ahead of us, and I can't wait to be sitting in this audience in 12 years and see who had a harebrained idea that we supported, and they've risen to the occasion. They've become part of the community. They're mentoring young adults. They're hiring people. They're growing and continuing to develop in this area that we call home. So I thank you so much for what you've done for us over the years, and I only hope that I can contribute as much to you as you have to me. So we're coming to the end of our evening, and before leaving, please take a moment to look at the last page of your program. You will find the current and upcoming Chamber Board of Directors. These are men and women who represent the membership of the Greater Killeen Chamber of Commerce. They volunteer their time and efforts to help guide this chamber forward. We also want to recognize our outgoing board members, Sanja Havens with First National Bank, Texas, and Johnny Mojica with HEB. We would again like to thank all of our banquet sponsors, First National Bank, Texas, All American Chevrolet of Killeen, Grace Christian Center, Courtyard by Marriott, and American Federation of Government Employees. So everyone, thank you so much for coming this evening. On your way out, feel free to take the flowers that are part of your centerpieces, but do not take the vases. Drive safely, and we will see you next year.